Hello and welcome to Oweleketv Business Time. I am Chiwendu Osisiogo. Today we'll be discussing on the topic cost of living in Nigeria and the way forward. Nigeria, a vibrant and populous country in West Africa, is grappling with the escalating costs of living, posing significant challenges for its citizens, especially those at the bottom of the socio-economic ladder. As prices continue to rise across various commodities and various sectors, it is imperative for the government and individuals to find a means and step forward and lend a helping hand to those that are most affected by this crisis. Oweleketv Business Times is aimed at shedding light on the increasing cost of living in Nigeria and emphasizing the urgent need for collective solutions. My guest is here in the studio to discuss more about the cost of living in Nigeria and the way forward. We'll be back shortly after the break. Welcome back from that break. Like I said, we'll be discussing about the cost of living and the way forward in Nigeria. My guest is here in the studio. He is a public affairs analyst and passing Mr. Emmanuel Righteous. You're welcome to Oweleketv Business Time.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir, it's good to have you. How's Nigeria been treating you recently?
Well, it has been treating me the way it's treating every other Nigerians, and it calls for worries.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go straight to the topic for today. We are discussing about the cost of living in Nigeria and the way forward. According to National Bureau of Statistics, the food inflation in January 2024, has quickened to 35.41%. As of last year, it rose from 29.20. That's 28.93 to 29.20. So how worrisome is this? Because as of just January 2024, it has risen to 35.41%. Should we be worried?
Yes, it calls for worries. I think that statistics is not completely out of place because the present realities around us actually validate that statistics. And I think there are a lot of factors that are responsible for this. And maybe in the course of our discussion, I will have time to really elucidate on these factors. But I think the parameters that the Bureau of Statistics gave is indeed apt enough, and I think they are on the right track.
Okay, sir. So according to African Development Bank, rising cost of living may lead to social unrest. What's your opinion?
Yes, you don't need a soothsayer to actually tell you that when cost of living is high, it has been high consistently for over some period of time now. Let me use the word for many years now. But recently, I want to say the cost of living is criminally too high. And when you talk about crisis, naturally, when cost of living is high, people find it difficult to feed. People find it difficult to do certain things that they can ordinarily do with ease. And as a result of this, it might result to some kind of anger. And like we know, there's this saying that a hungry man is an angry man. And once you become angry, the resultant effect becomes violence. And once violence comes in, it erupts to crisis. So what they are saying there, I don't think is completely out of place. And if we don't put it in a serious check, this crisis might escalate and might end up consuming us as a people and as a nation.
All right, sir. Okay, let's talking about the cost of things now, like foodstuff, for example.
Yes.
Going to the market, you realize that a lot of things have added prices. In fact, prices of goods and item now in the market. Sometimes you go to the market, let's say around 10 a.m. and you're going back to the market around 10:30 a.m. and you're realizing that now the price difference will be higher. For example, you're buying, let's say, granite oil for like 1,500 naira, and you're going back, you're hearing 1,600 naira. How long will this continue to linger? Because now the dollar is getting to, I think it's above 1,800 naira now per dollar.
Yes.
How long do you think this will go for? Like, this is just the beginning of the year. We're just in February, for crying out loud.
Well, this instability in pricing of goods, it's something that is responsible for the situation we find ourselves now. And I think majorly one of the factors is as a result of this removal of fuel
Fuel
subsidy. You know, everything around us hinges on the petroleum product. And once there is a price increase in fuel, it has a multiplying effect on every other thing, especially consumables. So as a result of this, foodstuff, considering the cost of transporting them from the rural area to the urban area and down to the market, because of this removal of fuel subsidy, the price of transportation increased significantly. Then secondly, this issue of insecurity. I understand that there are some villages in this country where farmers had to pay a kind of some certain amount of money before they can be allowed to go to farm. And they are paying this money to bandits. And by the time they pay and they go to their farms, when this produce matured, they will factor in all these costs into their produce. And at the end of the day, it will affect the end users. So these are some of the reasons why we are having this instability in pricing and also this exponential hike in food items in the country.
People believe that Nigerians are actually strong, that regardless of situations of things, Nigerians can cope with things. What do you think is the way forward for people now living in the country? Because a lot of people even find it difficult to eat morning, afternoon, and night. What do you think is the way forward? How will you advise a common Nigerian, a common man like me, to live? Because as I'm sitting down with you now in the studio, me, I am hungry. I won't lie about that. How would you advise me as a public analyst? How do you advise I live now in Nigeria?
Well, we have taken samples of people and cross sections of people in their various locations in this country. We've also made findings from some of our friends and co-partners in their various states. We've come to realize that an average Nigeria today hardly eats 2 square meals. And as a result of this, everybody is agitated. Everybody is undergoing series of challenges. But I think my thought towards this is we must also, as a people, decide to come together and collectively see how we can leverage this very situation we find ourselves. Take, for instance, there are people who are still very much privileged even amidst this present economic situation we find ourselves. If such people on their own can go out of their way to see how they can extend a hand of fellowship to their fellow brothers and sisters, why we still look up to government because they are the major players to bring this situation to normalcy? Why we look at government and see what they can urgently do to bring this situation to the barest minimum? Let we as a people begin to extend that hand of fellowship to ourselves, especially those that have enough. Try your possible best to see how you can extend it. And then also as an individual, let's try to cut costs by all means, especially things that we don't need now. Let's put it on hold and face those basic things that we need as a people so that at least we can survive, because survival first before every other thing.
Of course, because without food, yes, you cannot live. So you need to just get the things you desperately need, not the things you just want. All right, we'll be taking a quick break now, and after the break, we'll continue with the discussion. Please stay with us.
Follow us on our social media handles at Oweleketv. Visit our website at www.oweleketv for a thrilling journey. Oweleketv, rising star at the fairground.
Welcome back from that break. All right, Mr. Emmanuel, what would you say about the rise and fall of dollar now in the market? Because as of now, dollar is 1,850 naira. As the last time I checked, what is the negative impact will this dollar have on the economy?
Well, thank you very much. In terms of the negative impact that the dollar already has and will likely continue to have on the economy, is something that not just happened today. We've been having this negative impact for quite some time now. But you agree with me that the exponential increase in the price of dollar lately calls for serious concern and worries. And there are certain factors that are responsible for it. The negative impact is enormous. And we are believing that with some of the policies and effort of this present administration, with time, it might come to normal. But while we continue to believe, we'll continue to be realistic in our approach in everything we see surrounding dollar. Prior to now, and even up till now, we know that Nigeria is an import dependent nation. We're not producing, and because we're not producing, our foreign exchange earning is highly limited. And we are believing that production should be the watchword of this present administration. Now, the sharp increase in dollar, which is really exerting pressure on the naira and devaluing the naira completely, is as a result of two policies that the present government have put in place. And as a result of that, is affecting liquidity and availability of dollar in the system. One is that lately I got to understand that the EFCC is going after the real change agents. And because they are going after them, is making the availability of dollar to be limited. And simple economics will tell you that once a commodity is scarce, the price will definitely go up. So from that aspect, because they are chasing them, they are keeping this money to themselves. The money is not in circulation, it's not available, and then there is that sharp increase in the price of dollar.
Basis.
Yes, on a daily basis. So that is really exerting pressure on the naira. Then secondly, there's this guideline that CBN put in place and directing all commercial banks not to sell cash any longer, but they should encourage their customers that are into forex to do electronic transfer. But before now, what they do is that after accessing this cash from the bank, they will use part of it to sort out their foreign whatever businesses, and then the remaining ones will be injected into the system. And as a result of that, there will be availability of this dollar in circulation. So that aspect also makes dollar to be scarce, and as a result of that, the price increase. Then lastly is the expectations from Nigerians. You know, as you and I spoke earlier, we were still anticipating that dollar will go higher than what it used to be and what it is now. And that has been the general perception from people. And because that anticipation is there, even if there's an artificial increase, people will adjust to it, believing that it will definitely go higher than this. So these are the three major factors that are responsible for the spike and the hike in dollar at the moment.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. Okay, before we close, I wanted to ask that do you think, as a public affairs analyst, do you think the government is doing enough? Because probably they feel they're doing enough and Nigerians are not seeing it. So that's...
Well, there is no government that can do enough in all realistic sense. No government can do enough. And I also want to believe that there is no government that have decided to come and purposely inflict pains on the citizenry. There are certain factors that needed to be put into consideration. And then I also want to believe that government on their own part are trying their possible best to ensure that things get better. Because if you look at successive governments before now, we're meant to understand that there are a lot of failures, there are a lot of incompetency, there are a lot of policies that has taken us to where we are at the moment. But this present government of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, he made us to understand in one of the interviews that was granted that he understands before coming on board the situation of this country. And one good thing is that when you acknowledge the fact that you know that there's a problem, the solution or finding solution will not be that difficult for you. So for him to have come to say, look, I am not ready to complain. I know the problem of this country and I'm ready to fix it. I want to believe that there are certain policies that have been put in place that might not be, materializing immediately. But on the long run, it will definitely materialize. The only thing I want to ask and appeal to the citizens, especially those that have the best interest of this country at heart, is not to continue in this trajectory of saying we have no nation again. They should understand that governance is a collective and concerted responsibility and is for every one of us. So in our little way, in our little locations, in our little environment we find ourselves, in our little communities, let's try our possible best to replicate what good governance is, while we continue to look up to the government themselves. It should not be restricted to only the federal government. The state government also need to buckle up and step up their game. As I speak to you right now, because of the removal of fuel subsidy, state government are receiving allocations that are 3 times what they were giving them before the removal of this fuel subsidy. And in all sense of reality, I have not really seen what the state governors are doing with this very money. So we should not concentrate more on the federal government, but we should look beyond the federal government and hold our state governors and state government also responsible.
The people will keep saying that the rich are getting richer, why the poor? All right, so what's your final take, sir?
Okay, thank you very much. My final take is that making this country better, making us stable, making us begin to see economic prosperity, we must all accept the fact that we have a nation called Nigeria. We must also accept the fact that we must come together as a people and work. And then for our government officials, on their own part, they should try their possible best to reduce cost of governance and bring out policies that will give hope to the common man. Because if there is hope, then people will believe in you and they will exercise and endure until that hope materializes.
Okay, so I wanted to just ask for one final advice to people living in this very difficult moment. A lot of people are out there that probably already discouraged. In fact, the rate of suicide now in the country is alarming. So I just want you to just give just one word, as your name implies, Mr. Righteous. So I feel that you just advise somebody out there that is almost discouraged and probably doesn't know what to do anymore and has not eaten for a long time.
Well, we just have to show ourselves love.
Yes.
Let's agree that we are human and we need to support each other. If you have, look out for those who don't have and reach out to them.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel Righteous, has all concluded on this topic today, and he said that we must all accept the nation called Nigeria. If we want a better place, we have to just accept and keep saying positive things about your country, because there was one saying that there's power in the tongue. So if you keep condemning your nation or your country where you live in, things might not really work out the way you want. And we should also support the government. The government might not really do it on alone. And finally, to the government, he has said that government should try as much as possible to reduce cost of governance and also give hope to the common man, because there's a saying that once there is life, there is hope. And with our life, we know that definitely Nigeria will get better. And lastly, as the whole thing is going on now in the country, the whole cost of living, happening now in the country, let's learn to show love. Even the Bible said so, that we should love our neighbors as we love ourselves. So at this period in time, this is the time to show love and extend that helping hand to your neighbor. When you know that your neighbor is not doing so much, and it's there's some people that you obviously see from their looks, the way they're looking, just show love. It's not even 1,000 naira is to go a long way. On this note, I want to say a very big thank you to Mr. Emmanuel Righteous for coming on Oweleketv Business Time. It was good to have you, sir.
Thank you very much, and it's my pleasure.
All right, sir. All right, don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook at Oweleketv. Our website is www.oweleketv.tv. I am Chiwende Osisiago. Do have a wonderful day, and thank you for watching.